Hello, it's Helen from Journal with Purpose and welcome to my Plan With Me video for February. I'm using a Rhodia Gold book which I keep inside this paisley etched cover from Start Bay Notebooks. I'm going to start off setting up for the month by creating my cover page. And I'm going to be using some floral doodles from my book, which is on pages 34 to 37 if you want to create something similar. To create this cover page, I used a pencil to lightly draw a circle, and then I sketched some flowers that are going around the circle and overlapping into it. And I'm now using a blue chameleon pencil to colour carefully around each of the flowers so that all of the details are left in white. Apologies that my Plan With Me video for February is so late this month. I think January's just been incredibly busy and sort of playing catch up from that Christmas and New Year period. So I'm feeling really relieved and happy to have my setup completed. To add details to my flowers, I'm now using a Uni-pin pen in black with a 0.3 nib. And this seems to give just the right amount of boldness to those flower details so that they really stand out nicely on the page. For the blue background, you could of course use pens, any pencils or watercolour if you want to recreate something similar. And as always, I will try and remember to leave links to all of the products that I've used down below in case you fancy checking them out. For my monthly cover page, I usually create something floral, and it's often a floral wreath, but I fancied doing something just a little bit different this month, and I will be cutting around this later in the video to create a Dutch door. Once I've finished inking in all of the flower details, I will start creating my quote on the opposite page. And for this, I'm using a Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen with a firm nib. And the quote that I've decided to add is, "How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world," by Anne Frank. And I thought that was a really lovely quote to remind me that we can always do some good with our actions and by the way we behave to people around us. So it seemed a lovely quote for the start of February. I'm now using some scissors to carefully cut around those flowers to create that Dutch door spread. The next thing I'm going to do is use these vintage style typewriter stamps with a black ink pad to stamp out the word February. And I've put that right along the right hand side of the page underneath so that I can still see that behind the Dutch door. And I'm going to use this page to record things that I'm currently reading, watching, listening to and loving. And I felt that that was something missing from my journal. I always have an obsession with a song or perhaps a series on Netflix that I'm really into, so I think that would be great to have that all recorded. I'm then using a blue zebra mildliner brush pen just to add some details under each of those headings. The next page I'm setting up is my calendar for February, and I'm starting by adding some washi tape for decoration. So the first strip that I've added is a blue classic-y washi tape from London Gifties, and I'm then using one of the washi tape strips from my own product range. And I've torn one of those thicker strips and I'm adding it over the top, and I really like the way it looks when you layer different washi tapes together. And I'm using the Tombow Fudenosuke brush pen again to letter in the heading for February. And I will then add my dates and days of the week all the way down the left hand side, and for this I'm using a Staedtler pigment liner. For some extra decoration, I'm going to add a floral stamp, which again comes from the new releases in my product range. And I've attached the stamp to an acrylic stamping block, and I'm using some black ink. And where my pages are getting a bit bumpy, I didn't get a perfect stamping print, so I'm just using that black pigment liner to add in a few of the details. And for the colours, I'm using some chameleon pencils, and I'm going to use pink and blue to tie them in with that washi tape strip on the left hand side. If you are interested in trying out some of the products from my new range, they're available exclusively through Craftstash, which will be linked down below, and they're offering free worldwide shipping on Friday the 31st of January and also the 1st and 2nd of February. So hopefully that will be a good time to try them out. On this page I've created some boxes for my key tasks, social media stats and an end of month review. And I've used one of the really thin strips of washi tape just to separate the page, and I'm going to trim those little end bits off. I'm now going to add some floral stickers for extra decoration, and again they are new releases in my product range. The next pages that I'm setting up are for my master task list, and I say this every month, but these are the 2 pages that really save me all the time. So I break this down into my different sections. So JWP is Journal with Purpose, social media posts, my HR work and anything that I need to do for me. So it's a form of organised brain dump. And you know those times when you've got new things coming in that you've got to do but you can't do them right then? That's where I like to record those on that master task list so that I know nothing will be forgotten. The next pages that I'm setting up will be for my gratitude log and habit tracker. And for decoration on these pages, I'm going to be using one of the floral background stamps, and I'm using some Versamagic chalk inks. And these work really well on journal pages because they don't bleed through at all. Well, they certainly don't in my Rhodia. I'm stamping them out in blue and pink, and I'm then going to doodle some flower details right over the top. As always, at the end of this video, I'll be sharing a flip through of the last month's journal pages so that you can see how I use each of these spreads throughout the month. I'm now turning my journal around to create my habit tracker for the month. And I'll be writing all of my dates along the top and then listing all of the different tasks and activities that I want to track along the left-hand side. And I find that this really helps to keep me on track throughout the month so I can quickly and easily see any areas that I'm letting slip. For decoration, again I'm going to be using some of the same washi tapes and adding some stamping along the top of the page so that everything ties in really nicely together. And the theme for most of my pages in my monthly setup are going to be blue and pink. And I really like then how all of the pages look like that they all fit nicely together. Throughout the rest of the month, when I'm doing my weekly spreads and all of my daily logs, there'll probably be a variety of themes because I don't tend to be able to just stick to one throughout a whole month. The next pages that I'm setting up are my reasons to be proud and notes pages. And my reasons to be proud really is my feel-good spread, where every evening I write down at least one line of things that I feel I've done well at. And it gives me a really much needed kind of mood boost right in the evening before going to bed. And the notes is where I record anything that's not really a task, but just something that I want to be able to remember. For decoration, again, I'm using some washi tape strips, and I'm also using these really lovely watercolour flower stickers. And I'm so happy with how these ones came out. It's always lovely when I get my products back and they come out just like I imagined. The next page that I'm setting up is one that I created for the first time last month, and it worked really well for me, so I'm going to use it again. And it's for my YouTube schedule so that I can write down ideas for any topics that I want to cover, and I can record when I filmed, edited and released the footage. And I'll also be creating some space to write down things for my blog, any deadlines that I've got coming up, and any new ideas that I've got either for YouTube or perhaps over on my Skillshare channel. I'm trying to be much more conscious and forward thinking with the content that I put out, particularly kind of on my blog and YouTube. And I get lots of lovely ideas from you all, so it's great to have somewhere to be able to write them down and plan them out when I'm going to get them released. If you follow me over on Skillshare, you probably received an email from me in the last week or two asking if there are any journaling related classes that you particularly want me to cover. And I got some great suggestions, thank you. So they're all written down, and they're classes that I'll be planning to film and release over the next few months. And again with YouTube, if there's anything that you particularly like me to cover, please do just let me know. I've been lucky enough over the last month or two to get quite a few different projects to work on with stationery brands, and having that deadline section has been really useful for me to keep track of them all. The final pages that I'm setting up are my don't forget pages and also my mood tracker. And on the don't forget spread, I like to either doodle or letter in all kinds of events and things that have happened really throughout the month that I want to make sure I remember. For my mood tracker, I'm sketching out this large flower, and I've made sure that I've broken the petals down into 29 different sections so that I've got one for each day of the month. And I keep my mood tracker quite simple. I just have great, okay and bad. And for the colours this month, I'm going to use these Faber-Castell metallic text liners, which you might have seen on the unboxing video that I released a few days ago. So that is my setup for February, now all complete. As promised, I'm going to finish off this video by sharing a flip through with you of my completed pages from January. So this is the cover page that I would have created during my Plan With Me video. And then I've got my rather full calendar from January. It's been a busy month. And I'll complete my social media stats and review on the 1st of February. My master task list with all of the tasks that came in throughout the month. And then next up, I've got my gratitude log and habit tracker, which are nearly completed now. My reasons to be proud and notes pages, and all of the schedules and deadlines that I just mentioned. My don't forget page, I've got everything penciled in at the moment, and as soon as we're right at the end of the month, I'll go and add all of those in. I've used Dutch doors a lot again during January for my weekly layouts. I really like using those. And I have a very simple daily log behind it. I tend to change the colours each week just to keep things bright and interesting. And as you can see, I didn't really stick to any kind of particular theme. That weekly spread's been working really well for me now for a long time, so I think I'll be continuing to use that throughout February. Those are the plans for my next Skillshare class. Anytime that I have big projects, I like to list all of the tasks down on a spread just relating to that project, so that when I'm doing my plans, I can just write things down like Skillshare project rather than having to keep list out all of the individual tasks and then possibly migrating them. So I did the same with the Faber-Castell work, and for me that's a lot easier with that planning rather than having to keep duplicate the tasks. This is my last weekly spread from January and my daily log pages. And we're now back to February with the pages that we've just set up during this Plan With Me video. I really hope that you've enjoyed watching this Plan With Me video. If you have, it would be great if you'd leave it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, I would love it if you would consider subscribing. If you've got any questions or comments, then please do leave them down below. Thank you ever so much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you really soon in the next one.